settlement program was basically involved re-fencing it all and getting the water to work. So we got 3 troughs here, and on 600 acres you should only have 1, but anyway, that's the way it worked out because of the geography. And then the idea was on this side over here to try and control the different landforms. So over against that forest it's all sand, it's up to 3 metres deep in places, and it comes down to the edge of the creek there. So that's a different soil type, so we fenced it off, and then we fenced the creek off to try and control the riparian zone where we can get the creek banks stabilised and all those sort of things, and turn it back into a chain of ponds more or less instead of just a quick rushing gully. And we've done all that with electric fence, but we'll see all that. And then on this western side here, the idea is to develop it to Lakina. So the whole idea of this project is I always wanted to develop a little property, and I'm really interested in land regeneration and those sort of things. So the idea is to see what I could achieve with a really run-down block and see if I could turn it around environmentally and also economically. So
I think the difference, I'll just tell you a little story. I was in Cairns when I was in the NRM. I went back to NRM in Mount Isa there a few years ago, and we went to a big meeting. I don't know if the cattle group up there, what Northern Cattlemen's Association or whatever it is. And I was based in Cairns in the 80s, so you know I heard all the stories and we raided all that country. I went to this conference and I just could not believe that the exact conversations 2 years ago were what I heard 30 years ago. Except one thing had changed. They owed a whole lot more money, but not a thing had changed. I could have taped the conversation back then and played it back, and I just couldn't believe I was hearing that. Nothing had moved on. The thing that I strike in this conversation, it's shown there's a few more people not here, is that St John isn't talking carrying capacity. If you look at that bit of paper there, I just wonder how many people in the grazing industry particularly actually talk about kilograms per hectare or kilograms per rainfall or whatever it is. And so St John can tell you what his growth rates are and his production based on the kilogram of the animal. And I just don't think that the industry has moved as much as it should have. I tend to think that, I don't know what it's like here in the more concentrated areas, but certainly where I came from, we always look at the sheep. When the sheep start declining, we make a call on what we're going to do with them. But by the time the sheep are declining, the pasture's buggered. And we've got to go from the sheep to the grass. And that's a real challenge for the industry. And I don't know how far it's moved that way or not, but it has to go there. And you know, I just don't think there is such thing as a cane to pasture, as much as I've married to it for 30 years. It's all about, you know, what your grass can give you in return for what you can use it for. And, you know, I think based on what St John's doing here, if there's anyone's got a capability of bringing back this country, it's someone who's actually using some of this new style of thinking, and the industry has to go that way. So I just think the way he's approaching this is the way we should all be looking at country. So I'm not blowing his trumpet for him, it's just a simple fact that
you're going well so far.
He's moving, yeah, but I haven't told you what the bill is, have I?
Because the cattle will go and eat the ice cream first, so that excise seems to be a bit of an issue. And certainly, you know, we've been around this site twice, and already I know there's 2 fields there that are too big because they're flogging out the good grass and not touching the other stuff. So that's a bit of a challenge to work out what we can do there, but I think, you know, the theory says that better than 6 a hectare, you're probably on the money. Well, at 100 head, you know, most of these little paddocks here are going to be no more than 15 hectares. So. And they won't be daily cell changes and all this kind of thing because they haven't got that much energy, and we don't live here. So, but no paddock will have cattle in it for more than 3 or 4 weeks in a year. So, and at the moment we're going around every 10, 15 days, something like that. So it's a pretty strenuous occupation. You just go down there and open the gate into the new paddock and come back next day and close the one behind them. Takes all the fun out of it. The dogs go, what are we here for? And so it goes on. So, but it's all about the grass cover and the ground cover. And then Cyclone Debbie, we had 96 mils here in 24 hours and not one drop went off. We've got a few puddles in the creek, but they came from next door. So I thought there's a good start.